So when we came back now, there is, apart from just us, the executive, there are other aspects that needs to be on board with the whole thing, idea. And so we had to go to the House of Parliament. We had to go to the House of Parliament to intimate them that this is what we are doing, and then we are going to need their support.
It's case on glasses.
We had to go to the House of Parliament to intimate them that this is what we are doing, and then we are going to need their support, you know. We wrote the letter to them that we want to come to the house, you know, and present our idea and our project to them.
You know, since that time when I come, no be small thing, you know. The house was actually, you know, not divided too. But when that thing came on board, they felt as if, you know, I have personal interest. Because we were working hand in hand together. You understand? And this guy you get now. So they thought I have personal interest in speaker. You understand? But meanwhile, nothing.
Even a good number of the university staff didn't believe them.
You understand?
Will work. They did not believe it will work.
It was just a way of siphoning.
Funds, you understand?
You know, usually that's like
that idea,
everyday idea that happens. Okay, people come up with great ideas and okay, we want to do this, we want to do that. But then when the money comes, they take the money and they take off, and you don't see anything on ground. So it's right. It's within their parameters to feel like okay, these guys normal level.
Normal thing.
It raises a lot of concern.
In fact,
eyebrows.
The day we made payment for that factory, we made payments. Our first payment was 5 million naira. We had to say they should pay the money directly to the account of the partner. You understand? Because we don't want any situation where one thing or the other will happen on the road from the bank to the...
Yes, sir.
Because one thing or the other, they normally happen.
1 minute.
You know? So we did not want that situation. So we told them directly to pay the money directly from the S.U.G account directly to UCL. That's University Consultants Limited. We don't want to even see the money. We just want to know that it has arrived. Yeah. So back to where we were going to the House of Parliament. Initially, this guy was an opposition from the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Before we became friends.
Yes, sir.
You know? So initially he was an opposition from the beginning, so they never believed.
You know, see, the interest now. My interest.
Yes.
I had my interest, then you were contesting. I had my interest. You understand? So don't be anything.
No, it's nothing personal actually.
It's
a normal thing.
It's part of the game.
Yes, sir.
Interest.
Yeah. So from the beginning, people's assumption was that we will not be able to work together. You know? This
guy was Qatar.
We must fight.
I go impeach part 2. I go impeach part 2.
People say that they will impeach me. I say for waiting. Up to now, they never impeach me. But when we conducted his election, a lot of people were saying, let's not do it free and fair, whatever. I did it the way my mind said I should do it. I do it free and fair. He won. People say, you've caused problem for yourself.
We found far gap, let me see now.
No big problem. And in fact, I did not even know how it happened. We now became very close. Very, very close.
Very close.
Yes? Very,
very close.
So even before we got to that level of we are going to the House of Parliament, I update him of everything that we are doing at the executive level. I update him. I'll tell him that, this is what is happening. This is what. So he was fully in the picture. That was why people were thinking maybe there was interest
you understand?
in it, you know. Maybe we had a certain
this
percentage.
Kind, how president and speaker would they align together? You understand now?
All those kind of things. So we went to the house. We met a level of resistance in that house that you know, some senators, they were asking questions, and the questions were actually legitimate questions.
Yeah, very, very
valid concerns. You know, some of them were asking the same question that we've already trashed in house.
Yeah,
you know. How will we do management? How will we sustain it?
Yeah.
How will we make sure that it goes smoothly from one first S.U.G to the other? And in our strategic plan that we even presented to them, remember I told you that there was the plan of the growth of the factory written down. There was the plan of the financial, the distribution written down. Everything was written down. It was a beautiful thing, if I do say so myself. Yes. It was really beautiful. It was, you know. We wrote down how the growth of the factory will go from table water to bottled water. The dream was even up to this drip. Saline. Yeah, to drip. Because we were of the idea that since we have a medical teaching hospital, you know, if we can achieve that, we already have a market. See, the foundation of that concept was on the premise that the university community is a market.
Yes, no. Right. Yes, no.
Yes. It was on that premise that is a market we can produce and sell within ourselves. Yes.
We have fun and
generate good revenue.
Because you have the population.
We have the population. We had everything. So in the House of Parliament, we faced those questions and answer session. And at the end of that particular meeting, I think it was 2 or 3 hours.
Well, we passed 2-3 hours.
We were standing for 2-3 hours like this.
Yes, sir. You know, say parliament and humiliation. They will make sure say the president they on hot seat. This guy.
In fact, some of them wanted to prove a point. You know, but it all happened that, and by the grace of God, there was answer for every question that was asked. There was an answer for every question until the time that there was no fresh concern that has not been thought about.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing they could ask us that we as the executive at that time could not answer.
They were firing.
Yes, they were firing from side to side. Questions.
Even though I had the right to actually approve. You understand? Because I bought the idea. So I took it to the house, you know, so that they actually, get involved to know what the president wants to do. You understand? And it's escorts. You get, of course, it's a very, very good idea. You understand? Which every Josite out there should, in case, hears this. You understand? We buy the idea. You understand? That was just...
So, after then, we got their support. The House of Parliament, we got their support. We were able to now go for that payment that I was telling you about.
Right.
So as of that time, there was no really much money in the account of the union. Because when we came, we did not meet much, but that's not why we're here, you know. So there was no much money in the account of the union. I remember there was like 5-point-something million.
Yeah.
And then we said, okay, pay this 5 million.
Well, we left more than that for them in their account.
You know, there was like 5-point-something million. We now said, okay, we wrote a letter. We said, our account is like this. Inside that, pay 5 million to UCL for the purpose of this partnership that will bring this and that and that and that. And we passed that letter. The letter went, it was approved. It took a whole lot of time for that money to be paid that time. A whole lot of time.
You know, say for U.G, you know, say processes there now.
Procedures are so much.
You will sign for here, sign for there, sign for there. You understand?
Procedures are so much.
It's too much. It's too much. And it's a good one.
Yes.
It's a good one.
At the end of the day, though, the money was paid directly into the account of UCL. And I remember immediately that money was paid, the vendor gave us access to the property. We went there, we saw everything, we tested the machine and everything and all. And it's just like, I think there is this saying that say, every finish line is the beginning of a new race. So immediately we now paid that 5 million. The next thing was, when will you pay 3.5 million balance? That was the next whole thing. And at that moment, like I said, there was no money inside the union's account. We had to go back again inside to start saying, how will we raise this money? How are we going to raise this money? How are we going to... Because you remember we said there is a succession problem.
Yeah.
So the issue that we were facing is that if we do not finish it...
And time they go.
If we no finish them, it no go finish.
And they go abandon them.
Because we already know these things.
Yes, no.
If we no finish them, they go abandon them. So we wanted to finish it. We held meetings at the ESCO level, like the executive level. We held meetings. We brainstormed on how will we raise this money. So an idea came. That idea now it's in cause fight for inside house. Now that idea can cause fights for house.
If you want break the house.
That idea be almost break the house. But we're still strong. So the idea was simple. We said, since we want to do this project for the students and we represent their government, why not if we can tax the students, and get money and raise money that will be able to complete this project. And then this taxation will happen just once.
I want to.
Just this year.
But you don't say they think say this guy that just once. Now our tenure now. And now once we marry, you understand? So they feel as if these guys, this idea of money now still personal interest, you understand?
They thought it was personal interest. So we did that idea first of all. At the ESCO level, at the beginning, it was like, oh, it's a good idea, even though some concerns was raised. It was a good idea, but how are we going to achieve it? I now said something. I said, I think what we are about to do or what we are doing is noble. I think anybody that hears it, that has the interest, of the union at his heart or in his heart, you would see the genuineness
of why you are doing
of what we are doing, and it will not be hard to support. So I said, okay, let us call a congress, first of all. Let us call a congress for the entire university so that we will speak to them. So that we'll tell them that this is what we want to do, and we want their support because we are doing it for ourselves and we are doing it by ourselves. We agreed at the ESCO level that, so we'll go call Congress. So, we started hearing that, when last them do S.U.G Congress for this university? When last them do S.U.G Congress? It was falling on deaf ears.
And when I called that Congress.
We now went to student affairs. At the student affairs also, there was a lot of fear that if we call a Congress, it might
escalate.
That it will escalate. Even though deeply, I know that we'll be able to
maintain the pressure.
We know that we'll be able to maintain that Congress. We know it. But the concerns were so loud and it was so... so at the end of the day, we now substituted and said, okay, instead of calling the whole students, now let's call for their leaders.
Let's call stakeholders.
Let's call for stakeholders. So the Secretary General wrote letters to all the presidents of all the associations.
Maybe hostel governors that time.
Hostel governors, down to class reps.
Yes.
We wrote letters to them and invited them for a meeting. They came for the meeting. Another long meeting again. That was another very long meeting where the same questions that have been coming up was still coming up. And at this level self, the answers were already, you don't turn freestyle. You don't even need to think about the answer because you don't already get the answer. Yeah, you're already ready. So that was how we were answering those questions. And we managed to ease the minds of every representative that was present in that meeting. I think they were 44, if I'm not mistaken. The ones that came for the meeting were 44. And at the end of that meeting, we got them to agree with us to say, okay, let us increase these dues. Because at that time, dues was 500 naira for returning students and 1,000 for new students. So our proposal was, why not all returning students and new students should just pay the flat rate of 1,000 for this year. Then for next year, it goes back to 500 and 1,000. So at the end of the day, we got those representatives, those stakeholders to agree. And then we said, okay, if you agree, write your name, write your association, and write your signature that you have agreed. So at the end of the day, 44 of them wrote their names, the association they represented,
and signed.
And they gave us consent that we should move on. We carried that letter and attached it to the letter that we sent to the vice chancellor. We carried those lists and those signatures, attached it to the letter we sent to the vice chancellor. In that letter, we told him that this is what we have agreed as a body.
That's the outcome.
You understand? And this is the outcome. This is what we are doing. This is how we want to fund it. All we need is your approval. And we got the approval. Do this. It is your union. You people have sat and you have discussed. There is no way we will stand against it.
Right.
Yeah, because Professor Mimoku was really supportive.
Very, very instrumental.
Especially to this particular project.
I tell you.
Even after us.
Very, very instrumental.
I'll get there. Even after us, when the whole fear of succession came and there was a plot to sell off what we have done, he was the person that truncated that effort and said nothing like that. Then let them sell it. Let that 5 million that they gave, let it just be their only share in the project. But before then, I'll get there. So when we now sent that letter, we got the approval, So we now started hearing things because now the news has broke to the normal students. The S.U.G want to increase dues. That's a very serious topic.
They want to chop their money.
That's a very, very, very serious topic. So before you knew it, there was pressure coming in from every angle. In fact, left, right, and you cannot walk on the road normally in the university without hearing one thing or the other. All those kind of stuff. So to some extent, the pressure now started getting to some of the ESCOs. The pressure started getting to some of the ESCOs, and before you knew it,
emotions going to enter.
People started asking questions like, why must we do this project? Why must we finish it? And if the house is broken, we cannot work.
It can never work.
So there was now an in-house. The house was divided. Some were for the project, some were against it. That for the sake of our names,
no do
them. Because if we do them like this, increase dues, you understand? People go feel like saying, now we increase their dues, now we make them they pay more, and those concerns were there. But
Patu, make I ask you one question. Say Now, they ask fees anyhow. Anyhow, they ask school fees like saying like every session they ask school fees. And during our time, nothing like adding of school fees. No, just that like dues what one do. You get many students didn't benefit.
It was a tug of war.
It don't become war.
It was. So I remember one night in the White House. I was just inside the house.
So Kaku's the inside.
I get Kaku's meeting. I can't say what did happen. Meeting. That was around like 1 a.m. in the night or so. I say meeting for where? Inside this White House where I did. I enter the meeting room. I see them. We talk. So it was in that meeting I asked, what is the matter? You understand? What's causing all this? You know? And so I started hearing, although the pressure, we were getting it equally. You know? We were getting it equally, but me, my own eye did on the goal like this that time. You know? It was on the goal fully. And there was nothing that could actually stop me from... no obstacle could have stopped me that time from doing it. You know? So after hearing the concerns, I was like, oh, if truly we want to do this thing, but as a legacy for the students, right? And we have come to this level, you know, where we want to involve them and they are resisting it. You know, if truly our intentions are pure, we will not go ahead with it.
Mm-hmm. That's democracy.
You know, if truly our intentions were pure, we will not go ahead with it. And that was how, after that night, the next day, we went to the Vice Chancellor and we said, these dues matter even if we don't agree. But we don't want to go ahead with it anymore.
No, they don't vote us now.
You know, so we don't want to go. So at the end of the day, it was put on hold. We did not increase dues. So another way, the show must go on.
Yeah.
You understand?
Sure, no.
If that way doesn't work now, how are we going to do it?
Yes, sir.
So we came up with this idea that we are going to put strict measures on how we collect dues. You know?
That time when this when affairs, they stand there, make sure see dues they properly collected.
Before us, no be S.U.G they print their receipt.
I don't understand.
Yes, no.
Yes. No be S.U.G they print receipts.
No be S.U.G.
So it means that no be S.U.G they collect the money.
No be S.U.G they collect the money now.
No be S.U.G now. That's student affairs they collect money.
Yeah, in conjunction with the bursary.
Yeah.
That then they collect the dues on behalf
of S.U.G. The funds do not get to S.U.G.
No, the funds they would tell you what the funds is.
What they collected.
What they collected. You know? So when we saw that, we were like, what's going on here?
I say it gets
leakage. It's not like there was leakages
somewhere,
everywhere, not just somewhere. In the dues collection process, there was leakages everywhere. We got to discover that some people print their own receipts.
I'll tell you.
Yes.
I'll tell you.
And these are not students, so
replication of receipt.
You know that when the thing cast, they go just they point esco, say, this esco,
this one,
do like this, do like, but they are not aware of what is going down, you know?
Good.
So these leakages like this were not being made by students. The leakages are of the system.
So when you say the system, who are you referring to? Who do you mean?
When I say the system, we mentioned that the people that the
bursary and
student affairs, they are the ones that collect dues on behalf.
It's collaboration between both the two parties.
S.U.G. You know, so when we discovered that, we now said, "Oh no, we are not going to do it the way you people are.
It's not going to be business.
It's not going to be
business as usual.
You understand? We have our constitution, and our constitution has given us the powers to do whatever. Like every office has his roles and duties.
Right.
Do's and don'ts.
The do's and don'ts. One of the roles of the FinSec was to print receipts. So how
Why are you
comes
doing my job?
how comes the FinTech is not printing
You understand?
receipts?
understand?
You know?
But that's
So-
what happen now like this for the
Yeah, well, I guess so. I'm far away from.
No, on this show.
I'm very far away from, and since we dropped that our mantle,
Yes, sir.
I've tried to respect myself, because it's not everybody that have the same mind that you have.
People will do like
So you
30
cannot
years
force your way,
Right.
Yeah.
So we now said we want to we want to be in the picture of our dues collection.
Which is going to spoil business for some other people.
Of course, definitely. So we printed our receipts by ourselves. We did not stop at that.
And now they see this up to now.
Yes. I
Up to now,
don't know if they...
Now they use up to date.
Yeah. So we changed the design, the colors of the receipts. We printed it, we counted it, and we gave the bursary. Yeah? And just a way to find ourselves in the picture, the collection of the dues. We did a seal, a seal that we'll be putting on after the receipt, then they'll seal it. Yeah, and that seal was with us. At that time, the seal was with the treasurer that time. So she goes there to the post of dues collection. And if, for instance, today they are going to use 5 booklets, she seals them. She knows that she has sealed 5, right? She gives them, and funny enough, before we knew it, we can't gather dues.
Enough compared to that other time.
As at that time, how many students would you say you had under you?
Well, as of that time, at that time we were saying 30,000.
30,000
So
plus.
30,000, that was 30,000.
But not be all they pay.
But it's not all that
they
pays.
pay dues.
How is it that you're a student and you don't?
No, some way they masters them.
Okay, some are
PhD.
in masters,
They pay dues.
some PhD. Those ones, their dues are in their school fees.
Yeah.
They don't pay dues, so it is just undergraduates that pay that particular
500
500 naira. Returning student, then 1K.
New
students, yeah. So we did that. This happened. This was at the tail end of
the tenure.
This was the tail end of the tenure. At that time, there was campaigns were going.
Yes, now the
new
time
people are
don't
coming
finish
in. Still doing campaign. We were still struggling to see that we must finish waiting we start. You understand? And so, at the end of the day, we gathered I think, if not a record dues, man.
I will tell you.
If it was not a record dues, based on table collection, it was a record dues. Yeah.
What was the figure?
Yeah, I remember we gathered 4-point-something million.
Okay.
Yes, 4-point-something million naira was in that table collection, account. That's as of the time we were leaving, we gathered that much amount, and we said that outside that money, remove 3.5
for the other people.
For the
other projects. Well, but unfortunately, before that could be done, our time elapsed, and even though we left a letter that went into, which one be even though?
We left a
letter that said, pay this 3.5
yes, so
to UCL for the completion of this project.
My own project too.
Yes. Our project.
So
it was later now, but after we don't finish the whole union thing, I come here say, apparently we no specify the mistake we made in the writing the letter. We did not specify the accounts that they were going to. Yeah, no. The S.U.G account that the money should be removed from. Yeah. Okay. So when he now got to the Vice Chancellor, he now sent it back, minuted the letter back to the S.U.G president, for the specification of which accounts that you want made them come out this money. Unfortunately, when that letter come, enter my hand, it entered the next person's hand. And that was how that later lost.
Imagine.
The later disappeared.
Who was the next S.U.G president after you?
The next S.U.G president after me was D.B. Peters.
Peters.
Yeah, it was DBT. The later disappeared. We did not hear anything about it.
Hi.
We tried as much as possible to take the next government. The issue of succession, like we mentioned earlier.
That's it.
So that whole concern that they were saying that, what if we do like this? How will it continue?
Yeah.
So it was then the reality of that thing came up when we had no power to do anything.
No power.
Only that's the only thing that you have to say. Wouldn't you do like this? This thing has gone to this level. Wouldn't you? But apart from talk, there is nothing you could actually do. Yeah. So when we got to that level, we realized that that legacy project is nobody's legacy but our own. You know? So there is nobody that would lift this pinky finger
to make it happen.
There was absolutely nobody. So that was how that project was. Where we left it, the level we left it, that is where
it is
up to today. And funny enough, even when I go to restaurants, like to go and eat, I'll be in a restaurant and I'll eat because I just stay in town here along Greenfield.
They will serve you water.
They will come serve me that water.
So it meant that the project actually
is alive.
Completed.
It's alive. It's just that our stake.
Our stake we talk about.
Completed.
We agreed at 50-50, but we were able to just bring up 5 million.